So you want to reach 12% body fat, but you do not know how long it will take you. Well, you are watching the right video. You may see crazy 6-week fitness transformations online that make you feel like you are doing something wrong. But listen, do not get distracted by all of the false information on the internet. Getting to 12% body fat takes longer than many fitness influencers claim. How do I know? Well, I cut down to 12% body fat many times in my life, have coached hundreds of people achieve the same result, and extensively studied the scientific literature related to fat loss. In this video, you will learn the science-based way to get to 12% body fat with a realistic approach, so you can get awesome results while still enjoying life. First, it's important to understand your starting point. Many people underestimate their body fat percentage. Someone at 25% body fat could have a similar body shape as someone at 20% body fat. So it's common for someone to think they might only be 20% body fat while they actually have more fat to lose. Take my online coaching client Zachariah as an example. When Zachariah went from 26 to 21% body fat, the fat around his stomach and waist looked relatively the same, despite having good fat loss progress in 8 weeks. That's because body fat builds itself up in layers. When you lose that first layer of body fat by going from 25% to 20% body fat, your body size decreases, but the stubborn fat regions look similar. Only once you cut down further and reach around 15% body fat, that's when you start seeing more muscle definition and the lines on your stomach start kicking in. This also happened with my online coaching client Zachariah. From 26 to 21% body fat, not much body shape change happened. But once we reached 15% body fat, a big difference in muscle definition was noticeable. So there are two key takeaways here. Number one, if you think you are around 20% body fat, add 5% to that just to be safe. Do not trust the body fat measurement you see on your scale at home or in the gym. Research shows that commercial body fat percentage scales have an error margin between 5 to 10%, and they typically underestimate your body fat percentage. So if you think you are around 20% body fat, it may be more like around 25%, which is good to know because then you will also give yourself more time to lose the fat. The second takeaway is that if you are around 25% body fat, the first 5 kilograms or 10 pounds you lose are awesome, but they will not significantly impact how lean you look. You need to peel back more layers of fat before you get to the core and start burning the stubborn body fat. Once you are around 15% body fat, that's when more muscle definition is noticeable. But your goal is more ambitious than just reaching 15% body fat. You want to reach that 10 to 12% body fat range to see your abs and fully lean out. I'm confident you can do it because hundreds of my clients have done the same thing. It will just not be a fast process. The leaner you get, the slower your body will want to lose fat. Your body sees fat as an essential energy buffer for survival. Once you are relatively lean at 15% body fat, you do not have a lot of fat energy buffer left, and the fat loss process naturally slows down. I noticed this as well in my fat loss phases. Going from 20% to 15% body fat is faster than going from 15% to 10% body fat. That is because your body goes through metabolic adaptations as you lose fat. We know that you need a calorie deficit to lose body fat. This calorie deficit means that you consume fewer calories than that you burn in a day. I made another video on this topic, but generally speaking, if you eat between 10 to 12 calories per pound of your goal body weight, that will be a good calorie deficit for sustainable fat loss progress. The longer you stay in such a calorie deficit, the more your metabolism adapts to your lower calorie intake. In one study, staying in a calorie deficit for 8 weeks decreased daily energy expenditure of the participants by 15%. So if you typically burn 2,500 calories per day, it's possible that after 8 weeks of being in a calorie deficit, you now only burn 2,200 calories. And this metabolic adaptation slows down your fat loss progress. So keep this in mind, the leaner you get, the slower your fat loss progress typically becomes. As a rule of thumb for how fast you can drop body fat, it is possible to lose 5% of your body fat for every 8 weeks you are in an effective calorie deficit. For instance, going from 25% to 15% body fat can be realistically done in 16 weeks, like many of my online coaching clients have done. But that last step of going from 15% to 10 to 12% can take more time because of metabolic adaptations. In my own process, going from 15% to 10 to 12% body fat took me 12 weeks rather than the usual 8 weeks. Now, I know that 12 weeks sounds like a lot for just losing that last 5% body fat, but I want to remind you that our goal is not just to drop fat as fast as possible, we also want to maintain quality muscle size. A moderate fat loss pace supports muscle maintenance. As supported by this research, we do not want to lose more than 1% of your body weight per week if you want to keep quality muscle as you lean out. Also, the leaner you get, the more you can benefit from implementing diet breaks. Getting to 10 to 12% body fat is not a straight line. It's not like you just eat 2,000 calories every day, wait 12 weeks, and boom, you are at 10% body fat. As mentioned earlier, you will run into fat loss plateaus, and you may start feeling fatigued as you stay in the calorie deficit for a long time. So in my 12-week process of going from 15 to 10% body fat, I also had to incorporate a diet break week. During the diet break, you purposely go out of a calorie deficit and eat at maintenance calories. Can you remember that I mentioned a good calorie deficit for most people to maintain is between 10 to 12 calories per pound of your goal body weight? Well, during a diet break week, you eat closer to 15 calories per pound of your goal body weight to maintain your progress and have a break from being in a calorie deficit. Next to providing a mental break from being in a deficit, a diet break also has physical effects. The most important physical benefit is that a diet break helps improve energy levels inside and outside of the gym. After a 1-week diet break, you will typically feel rejuvenated, and it becomes easier to be active through things like regular walks, which helps increase your daily energy expenditure. Also in the gym, you might see a small performance boost that will help you maintain your muscle as you lean out. Implement this diet break if you have not been seeing any measurable fat loss progress for the past 2 to 3 weeks, despite being in a calorie deficit. Your fat loss may have plateaued because your energy levels dropped and you are burning fewer calories in a day. A diet break will help you reverse some of these metabolic adaptations to help you keep progressing. There's even some new promising research showing that using short diet breaks helps improve muscle maintenance while in the fat loss phase. So use a diet break to your advantage. We now discussed several reasons why you need to give yourself time to reach a low 10 to 12% body fat. These are realistic expectations you can have. From 30% to 15% body fat, every 5% of body fat you lose takes about 8 weeks with an effective approach. The last step from 15 to 10% body fat may take up to 12 weeks. But I want to emphasize that these time frames are guidelines, not hard rules. You can take more time if you want. An effective fat loss phase is more like a marathon and not a sprint. Finishing the race at your pace is the goal, and like in a marathon, if you need a minute to recover, you can take a small break. So make that mental switch, especially if you start at 25 to 30% body fat. You are not in a sprint. This will take time, but it is so worth it at the end. I have the pleasure of coaching many people in their fat loss process, and what this does to their quality of life is amazing. Take my online coaching client Zachariah, who I mentioned earlier. Zachariah completely transformed not just how he looks, but also his overall health improved, and he's able to have impressive performance in the gym. The same goes for my online coaching client Adelaide. This progress goes way deeper than just having the six-pack. Adelaide's confidence and the joy he gets out of his hobbies improved tremendously. If you are also ready for such life-changing fitness progress, apply to my one-on-one online coaching service and you will be able to work with me personally. Once you apply, we can have a call to discuss your goals and get a strong process started. And that is all for today's video. I hope you now have a better understanding of why getting to a low body fat percentage takes time. I have an awesome new video for you here above to learn more about science-based fat loss, so go ahead and check that out. I want to thank you for your support, and I will see you in the next one.